Just think of it as the rough draft of the podcast world. This is the Newbie Writers Podcast with your hosts, Damien Bolt and Catherine Bramkamp.
Hey, this is episode 210 of the Newbie Writers Podcast. Catherine's back this week.
I am back. Nice to be back.
So you went to Seattle. What for?
My son and my daughter-in-law live up there, and so we were visiting them, and we had a lovely time with them.
Oh. Was it dreary?
Yes.
Sounds like a fantastic place to live.
Well, it's very green. When you compare Washington State with California, we drive up, it's like, oh my gosh, look at this look how green this is. This is so nice and green. And then the next morning it's pouring rain outside and all the Californians are standing and looking at the rain saying, oh, this is why it's green. Okay, we got it. We're very slow.
And were you wearing shorts and a Hawaiian t-shirt to look like a tourist?
Nope. I bring jeans, lots of layers.
Oh.
I know what to do. Besides, I went to Starbucks. They have a roaster. They have like a showcase place where you can get their more gourmet blends. And so we spent time there. You have to drink a lot of coffee in that area of the country, because otherwise you'd fall into complete depression and you wouldn't be able to get anything done.
Yeah.
So I drank a lot of coffee.
I don't drink any coffee, so that place is off the list. Oh well.
Yep. It can be off the list, but it is off. It's lovely. Seattle is a very cool city, so I'm pleased that I'm very happy my kid lives in a good place, right?
Oh, better than a trailer park.
Yeah, I think, or better than Bakersfield. Sorry, Bakersfield.
I don't know where that is, so I'm not going to get involved.
It's like Alice Springs.
Oh well, yes. We don't have any listeners in Alice Springs, so it's fine. And look, I have been there a number of times.
Yes, you have.
Now, quickly, I'd like to apologise to anyone that was trying to access our website or podcast over the last week. It seems everything decided just to take a massive shit. I don't know why, but we currently have a temporary theme up because I'm not happy with it, but the whole website broke after an update and was irreparable. And so did the podcast theme. Feeds, so it's all back up.
So there you go.
But look, really poor timing too, because the podcast award nominations are on.
Yeah.
And part of the criteria is if people nominate, they grab all the nominations and then they go and tick things off like has a good website, was broken, has a good podcast feed, was broken. So, but it all happens. Dude. I know. And nominations close today, the 30th. Yeah. So this happened only like 3 days ago. I'm thinking, why? Can it just wait like a month and then it can break? I don't care. We'll sort it out.
Yeah, we could do it on a vacation. We can make it have a vacation while I'm gone.
So for some very late nights. That's all right.
Oh.
Anyway.
Well, there you go. We might lose that. We might lose that prestigious award because of it, but oh well.
Oh well. Now we have Brenda Knight on, who... the last time she was on this show was episode 87.
Wow, Brenda, it's been a while.
It has been. I'm pleased to be back. It's not like being the host of Saturday Night Live 10 times or whatever, but I'm thrilled that you guys will have me back.
And if anyone's wondering, Brenda's on the phone because she's actually on the run from the authorities. Actually, I shouldn't joke about that. Do you realize, I don't know if you've Googled your own name recently, but I looked up Brenda Knight just to get some updated information, because when I saw that, hey, episode 87 was like 2 years ago, I thought, let's find some info. And up comes 2 sentenced over tax scheme involving dead people.
Oh my goodness.
Brenda Knight was sentenced to 2 years in prison. The defendants used stolen names and social security numbers to defraud recently deceased individuals of $1.8 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe you caught me. Yeah. And there's the real, I think of her as the real Brenda Knight. She is a congresswoman in Stockton, I think, a lovely African-American woman. So I always think she's the real Brenda Knight, and I'm like some kind of, second tier Brenda Knight. And clearly I'm coming up in the ranks after that identity theft scam.
Well, there you go. I think, well, look, I'm touched to know that the prison systems let you have your one phone call for the day to us.
Exactly. Yes.
No, it all seriousness. The reason
I have my priorities really straight.
You do.
Identity theft and then supporting writers.
Could you imagine being in prison and saying to the prison guard, "Look, I need to make a phone call." Who? To a podcast.
I wonder if they do. I mean, when you think about it, I don't suppose there's any reason not to, unless there's a clause about you can't go self-promoting while you're in prison.
This is true. Well, it's called proceeds of crime. But
as long as we're talking the prison theme, I do want to add that, there was, every publisher gets letters every day, I would guess, from prisons, and we got probably 5 or 6 a day, because we would donate damaged books or books that were dinged up or anything like that. We would, send them out to prisons. And so
Cool.
then so a bunch of prisoners in Southern California, I think it was actually San Luis Obispo area, where I guess there's a big prison.
Yeah.
They asked how to submit a book proposal, and we have a little editorial team at Cleis and Viva, and I said, we're going to treat them, just because they're in the big house, we're not going to take them. It doesn't mean we're not going to take them seriously as writers. So I said, we're going to treat them like anyone else that is submitting. So we sent them a package of how to submit, and then I even gifted them with some couple of dinged up writing books by Arthur Plotnick, The Elements of Expression and Better Than Great, etc. And so, I thought, okay, that's us walking our talk and supporting writers from truly all walks of life and diversity. And so then they formed a writers group, and they would submit things directly to me. And once I realized that, at first I was thought, okay, good. I'm being a good in the world as I intend to be. And then I sort of thought, there's a bunch of prisoners, and these are male prisoners, not that it matters, but they were. And they would be sitting around banding about the name of Brenda Knight. And I was both amused and then also kind of oh, what have I gotten myself into? And so then they sort of became almost pen pals, but it was sort of I was their mentor, and I would give them, feedback on their writing, and why don't you try this? And, here's another writing instruction book for you to find in your prison library, or ask them to order, et cetera, like that. So it ended up that I had this funny sort of prison pen pal writers class amongst the men in the San Luis Obispo prison. There you have it. So they were obviously helped me out when I needed to run my scam.
There you go. I was going to say, it helps to have friends in, let's say, interesting places.
Yeah, you can't say high places.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that's, and I think that's very cool to walk your talk, because oftentimes our system is not good as far as our incarceration system, and so a lot of people walk out of the prison system without a lot of skills, and then their only real skills are what they learned in prison, which would be to get better at what got them into prison. And we just keep the cycle going, so that even getting them to where they're expressing themselves in a different way, I think, is a big win.
Absolutely. And I will say that there is a writer in San Quentin who was a former member of a gang. He was an Asian gang. And I really, really, really wanted to publish his book, but unfortunately, the owners said no. But when and if I ever start my own publishing house, or, begin acquiring for a publishing house again, I absolutely want to go after this book. It was so dynamic. It was he was giving a nonfiction guide to life, this is what all you need to avoid doing. This is what you should not do. And then I'm not doing a good job describing it, but I'm telling you, he had the gift. He was a real writer, just a natural writer. It was an exciting manuscript, and I hope somebody either publishes him or that I get to. So we'll see. My whole connection to writers in prison, could continue to manifest.
I think that's fun.
God, what would you call your publishing company if you only publish prisoners?
The Big House.
Big House.
Big House.
And I will say to you both that there's a lot of newbie writers in the Big House. A lot of newbie writers.
If anyone is in prison, please email me, podcast@newbiewriters.com. I'd be fascinated to find out.
We'll talk to you.
Just don't shank me. Now, the real reason you're actually sitting in your car with the phone is we can actually blame Donald Trump.
Yay! Let's blame him.
Apparently, there's a protest. For or against him? Obviously, it's usually what you do when you protest. You don't go and protest, but you're like, "Yay! What do we want? We love it."
No.
Yeah, that's usually a march. But yes, that sucks. So you couldn't get home to some decent internet. But never mind.
Right. Yeah. But, I think if I had thought about it, I guess I would have avoided Northern California altogether somehow, or rather the Silicon Valley SFO area. But I did listen as I was trying to figure out what in the world is going on here? Why is it going to take me 2 hours to get home instead of the usual half hour, 25 minutes? And so they were saying that it was 4 strata of protesters: Black Lives Matter, Hispanic people. Obviously, there's a very large, population in Northern California who's rightfully concerned. Pro-Bernie people, and then Occupy people. So they were sort of Occupy Burlingame.
Oh God.
Well, it's all about making America great again. Isn't that
Right, exactly. But even Donald Trump couldn't stop me from being on the podcast. He tried, but he didn't succeed.
Well, yes. Hopefully he doesn't succeed in becoming president, you poor people.
Oh, please don't take us down that very dark, dark road, God. So Brenda, let's talk happier things than Donald Trump. You started a new venture. So you were with Viva and Cleis Press, and that's when we last talked. That's where you were, and doing a fabulous job. And now you are working directly with authors. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing now.
Yeah, so I left exactly 11 months ago. And, I love publishing, but in truth, I had started in 1990 at HarperCollins and worked there wasn't even a day or a week of vacation in between jobs. I just worked the whole time. And I suddenly felt like I wasn't learning anything, which is, I'm sure, my own darn fault. But I felt like I needed to stretch and grow and get out of my comfort zone. And then also I think that, winning the Publisher of the Year award in 2014, that felt like a wonderful punctuation point to that arc of my career. And I thought, let's grow some wings and fly and see what we can do. And what I really love to do is working with writers and creative people, actually. And of course, writers are some of the most creative people. And so I'm consulting with publishers, small indie publishers, authors who have self-published, and then also authors, some notables too, including Stephen Dinan, who's the CEO of Shift Network, which has 500,000 members, and works with authors, everyone from Marianne Williamson to Deepak Chopra to Eckhart Tolle to Mark Nepo, some incredible visionary writers. But so I like to think that it's like everyone from every level, from somebody who just has a great idea that they need somebody to mentor them and help develop it, to somebody who like is, published 30 books, but they still want to like see what they can do in a new way or a better way. And so I just think of myself as I am fomenting their creativity and just supporting that in whatever way I can so that they're successful.
So what made you leave Cleis Press? It actually made the news by the looks. Made the internet.
Yes.
It's a big thing to do.
One of the reasons I would say is, I mean, again, like I felt like, okay, I'm Publisher of the Year. Like, what more? There's kind of, what more can I do? Like, I need to go somewhere else so that I can like do new things. But what really pushed me, in that direction was that the ownership changed. Cleis and Viva Cleis, I founded Viva Editions, but Cleis was founded in 1980 as a feminist publishing house.
Okay.
And so there was like a whole legacy there, including like LGBTQ, like doing like the first books on the first transgender books actually, which is kind of amazing and history making. And so then they were bought by, some young gentlemen from New Jersey, and like I can't believe I just said like, but I thought the vision of Cleis would carry on. I mean, I should have known that like with new ownership, things were going to change dramatically and drastically, but I thought the mission and the vision would remain the same, but it didn't. And in truth, like if I wanted to just make money, obviously I would not be in publishing. I wouldn't be a writer, right? Haha, LOL.
Yeah.
And so when I saw that, like it was, more about the bottom line and less about the meaning and helping, writers with their creativity, and also publishing books of real meaning, that life-changing book. So, they just had a different vision than me, and so I exited the stage left. But it really came down to that, a difference of vision.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, that happens. We've all
And
been
that's
there.
good.
Yeah.
And you didn't you end up with a non-compete clause as well after you left with them? That's why you're doing more consulting as opposed to doing another publishing house?
Oh, yes. And I would guess that my attorney would probably say we shouldn't go too far down that road.
Yeah. And I won't. I was just, that was something else that I read because I thought, oh man, she can't, can't go out
right.
and publish. Damn it.
Here's the thing, right? That clause, and I don't know if it changes, for the Americans, but here, I had one of them when I was working for a national company, and the non-compete was you must not work in this industry for 12 months. And I challenged them, and someone else actually legally challenged them and won, because they said, what, am I supposed to go and become a chef for 12 months and then go back to what I'm trained at doing and have experience in doing, is this industry? And you can't do that. It'd be like saying to a doctor, well, if you leave, you have to go and sweep, chimneys for a year and then come back and be a doctor. It's crap. You can't do that to someone. But you can obviously put in the clause that you're not to approach their clients, do that sort of thing. I get all of that. That's fine. But to say to someone, you're not to work in this industry, it sucks. Anyway, that's my
and I think the other, and I don't know if it's still the case, but when there was during one of the tech booms, we've had them. If you left, employees would leave, and then the companies would have to figure out, well, what's proprietary information, what is protected information, and how do you control what's in someone's head? And I was fascinated with them I watched them try to figure this out. It's like, well, you shouldn't think too much about, this project. It's like, too late. It's already in my head. I'm going.
I know, you can't.
Right.
Oh, it's just crap. At the end of the day, if someone's left, then you just got to take your chances. And if it's like writing, really, If I say to someone, or say to either of you, oh, I've got this idea for a book. It's going to be, I don't know, 2 talking camels decide to go drive a car, whatever. But I don't get anywhere with it. And then one of you all of a sudden goes, oh, that's a cool idea. And you start writing it up. It's still going to be your book. You haven't necessarily ripped me off.
Right.
Because,
Right.
I don't know. It just...
Well, I just had that talk with another writer. I'm working with her on a conference here in the Nevada County area. And we were talking about Elizabeth Gilbert's book, because Elizabeth Gilbert talks in her book Magic, talks about how if you look at creativity and the muse as something that's given to you, that you channel, sometimes you get an idea that you don't act upon, and so it like the idea goes to someone else and they act upon it. So your story, maybe you don't do anything with it, so it moves on and someone else does. So a newer writer will sometimes say, well, they ripped me off because I thought of that first, but you didn't do anything with it, so the idea moved on.
Yeah, it only gets weird,
Right.
And I've experienced it in my family. I won't go into details with it, but someone had created something that was pretty much in draft forms good, and then one of the people working with him, they split ways, and all of a sudden that thing was released in the same sort of format.
Yeah, that's different.
Yes,
That's different. I'm thinking more ideas where it's like, well, this, or people all across the world will all of a sudden decide that if you ride a bicycle fast enough with some wings, you can get airlifted. It's oftentimes as humans, we have similar ideas at a similar time, and it's just this synergetic thing. And the people who bring it to market first are the winners. That's pretty much how it works.
yeah. And then the Chinese just rip off your technology and build it their own way and sell it for half the price.
Full circle.
Brilliant. I don't know. Getting into...
But so I'll remind you that like a couple of minutes ago, I said it was 11 months ago. So what does that mean?
Yeah, you got a year.
So that...
You're on
Right. That 11 months went really quickly. And also like, when you're working regularly 12 and 14-hour days, which is, how it was for probably the last year under new ownership, you're not very fresh, and you also don't have time to read much. And just having a bit more time, I've gotten my reading juju back, and I just love being able to dive into a novel and plow through it in 2 or 3 days, instead of it's stacking up on my nightstand and making me feel guilty, which I kept thinking I read for work and I don't read for pleasure, and I need to read for pleasure. Everyone does. Every writer needs to make sure that they read for pleasure too. Read the writers you love. I mean, I'm sure almost every podcast has that bit of wisdom there, but it's so important to do that.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry about the dog. Apparently there's a squirrel on the other side of my house.
Squirrel.
I agree. I was just reading. I have a blog coming up, and you just go on to newbiewriters.com and you can read it. But you're pre-done. I read a book that I was reading to review, and the book was okay, but it wasn't great. And I thought, I should have spent my time reading a quote classic, or a quote good book. But to your point, sometimes that's not what helps you. Reading something that's a little bit different, reading something, and I agree that you love, and then deconstructing it. So I sit down and I blow through a Terry Pratchett book or 2 or 3, because sometimes you have to read a whole series, the whole section with him.
Of course.
Is it constructive? Why am I so enamored? Why do I love it? And that too can be really helpful. So I agree. I go back and forth between what I should read, quote unquote, and what I just love to read.
So in a month and a half, what's your new publishing house going to be called?
Woman card. No, I'm just teasing. That was one of the things I was hearing too about, when they were talking about the Trump protesters. I guess a lot of very clever, creative, artistic female protesters had made signs that was the woman's card, my woman's card, because remember, I don't know if you might not know about this in Australia yet, but Donald Trump said that all Hillary Clinton was running on was her woman's card.
Oh.
The fact that she's a woman.
Yeah, that'd be it.
Yeah, just like Margaret Thatcher was just a woman. God, give me a break.
Oh.
Yes, well.
I can't even, words cannot describe the way we see him. I don't know.
Just don't go there. It's super embarrassing. I've got to travel abroad later on in May, and it's just going to be one question after the next. I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle it.
Is it just me though?
Right.
From on that though, is it just me, or does he have different colours of himself each time he's on TV? So because it's on our news, right? And so like yesterday, he seemed fairly sort of yellowy colour, like he's got jaundice. And then 2 days before that, he was brown with white eyes, like he had put on all his...
Tans.
How does that happen?
Yes.
So, his makeup artist needs to be sacked.
I think that he was like the color of old leather.
It's
like it's like his skin is like in the process of like tanning like into leather right before our eyes. Like, but I think that like I said like again, please forgive me. I think that Donald Trump doesn't listen. He likes to talk, but he doesn't listen, and he must have surrounded himself with a lot of sycophants who don't tell him, if you want to be more presidential, like you've been saying in the last week, because somebody told, because your new advisor that you hired said you must act more presidential. If you want to seem more presidential, please don't seem like you're like dressing up for Halloween every day.
And
okay, this is the best comment that I've heard so far, and then we'll move on to writing, which is more important. Someone commented to me after watching Donald Trump do something, and they said, "Do you feel like you're watching The Producers?"
Yes. Come to think of it.
It's like,
absolutely.
Yes.
Right.
And watching Springtime for Hitler, and no one thought that would go.
And
right.
Is it just me, or does he seem to be the closest fit to play Toad from Wind in the Willows?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Very, very insightful. Because speaking of reading and speaking of Donald Trump, you know how even like Mark Zuckerberg, CEO and founder of Facebook, has like a book club he'll like put out on Facebook. The books on economics and history and things, technology that he's reading. He's a great reader, and it'll cause it to become a Wall Street Journal bestseller. We know that Obama is a reader. We know so many of these leaders, including Hillary Clinton, are great readers. But I bet if you ask Donald Trump what book he's reading, he is not reading, and he would just try to sell you a copy of his book, The Art of the Deal, which, as I understand it, is somebody transcribed some of his speeches and sort of Frankensteined it together into a nonfiction book.
Yes, and someone came out and put his speeches together and made it a poetry book too.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's better.
I don't know. I think if someone said to him, "What book are you reading?" I would love it if it was something really random, like the Men's Fitness Journal or something. Like how to get your abs in 6 weeks.
That would be good.
Anyway, let's move it. People have switched off anyway from listening to us.
So, Brenda, what I wanted to ask you, so what, for our listeners, what kind of advice are you giving your writers right now? So or maybe conversely, what are some of the issues that writers are coming up with right now? Is there anything that is, atypical or that's out there where it's like, wow, I haven't thought about that. You need to, here's a new problem, or here's a new challenge. What are you seeing out there in your world?
What I'm seeing is that a lot of writers they'll write a book they're absolutely in love with. If they self-publish it, or even if they get with a mid-sized publisher, they're really concerned about the marketing and what to do. And so I give them all kinds of tips, which I'm happy to share. I actually have a set of resources that if anyone wanted to email your podcast or email me at brenda.knight@gmail, I would send them my tips, insider tips for writers. I told them, instead of feeling
Oh, no. Hang on. It's dropping in and out. I think you've been dumped with water at the moment. Have we lost her? Have
you lost her?
I don't know.
Too bad. That was interesting.
It always happens. Yep, call dropped. Yeah. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for those listening, how would you rate the overall quality of this call? Right. Let's try and call her back, shall we?
Call her back.
I don't know. It always seems to happen with us. The guest will be saying, "Oh, I've got this really important." I don't know. It just does my head in. But that's how it caps off this week. Really.
There you go. It's been your week.
Yes. Anyway.
It's been my day. Your week. I had a bad week 2 weeks ago, so right around my birthday. So I get it. Sometimes we just our Mercury's in retrograde or whatever they say when things go bad.
Don't start with that.
Okay, we'll start with that.
I think a lot of people have bad weeks. I ring them and talk and say, "How's your week been?" And they say, "Oh, terrible." So I don't know. Maybe it's like the yearly crap week, and then just get it over and done with, and then you're all right for a while.
Yeah, you can slide into fall and winter, and I can go into summer, and we'll be fine.
Anyway, so while it's trying to dial Brenda back, what else has been happening? We had the first round of edits come back.
Yes.
From our editor, which was good.
Yes, and I appreciate that so much, to have somebody else look and ask the question and say, well, where were you going with this? And there wasn't a lot of that. It was just more separate sentences. Separate sentences like, I did not understand what you were trying to say. And I look at the sentence again and think, yeah, but in my head, it sounded great.
Yeah. It'd just be a bit of a worry if at the top it had our title and then below this note saying, not really sure what you're on about with this book. That would be a problem.
No, it wasn't like that at all. She, our editor, liked our voice, she liked the whole thing, and so that's good. And then they dig in, and that's what an editor is awesome about having, is they dig in and they say, "But I didn't understand this." Good, because we're striving to be understood. So very helpful. But it was a 2-day project to go through all of her edits.
I know. Now I'm going through mine, and it is interesting because, again, third set of eyes can pick up mistakes, but then with how I am having to read every word, I then notice there are a couple of things that weren't picked up by any of us. Still.
Right.
And small things, 2 A's in a sentence or, that sort of stuff. So you get that.
I did too. So that's what helps and you're looking at it differently. And that's just, you can just, beat the gong for, editors. And I get a lot of really good feedback from beta readers, it's for the same reason, they'll say, I didn't understand this, or you need to do this, or this doesn't work. And also catch stuff, which is great.
Yeah. So then, because obviously I've never been through this before, it's going to go back to them. Is that it? Or will she look at it again and then send it back to us and say, here's the final tick-off?
She may. I think, to be realistic, if when I send it back, or you can send it back directly, send it back saying, here's we had a couple of changes that we want made. We liked all of these changes that we accepted. So if you just make them, we're good to go, and then they can push it to the next phase.
Should just leave something silly as well. See if they pick it up. We could sign off a chapter on, I don't know, something really important like marketing and say, and that's why you need a camel.
Well, there you go. You just said it on the show.
Oh, there you go. So
And that's why you need a camel.
That's what I've gleaned from the conversation with Brenda and proper marketing for your book. Get a camel.
Well, if we don't get her back, I will contact her and we'll post. I'll post her insider tips on our blog.
Yeah, I think so, because I've just sent her a message. It just will not connect, and it's probably to do with where she's sitting, no doubt.
Yeah,
So-
because she's in traffic and she could have lost her signal. Obviously, she lost her signal.
I'll try again. But anyway,
Okay.
never mind.
Hello?
Oh, you're back. Woohoo.
You're back.
I'm so sorry about that.
No worries.
What happened?
I don't want to make it into the top 5 worst ever.
Oh.
We forgot to post. We forgot to put that in our book. Oh, darn it.
It's not too late. We could we do an acknowledgements thing at the end of, guests we've had and a thanks and that sort of thing. We should also do the shit list. Actually, we probably couldn't publish that.
No, the karma's bad on that. I'm not a fan of going after people. They try their best. So.
Well, I can pick up where I left off. I do remember that I was telling you that these authors, whether they're a first-time author, a newbie author, or somebody or a writer who's well published, it comes down to the marketing, because their concern is, I worked so hard on this. I put all of my heart and soul and creativity into this, and not that many people are going to read it the way book sales are going now. So I give them tips, which I'm happy to share with your podcast fans, and they can email me at brenda.knight@gmail. But I tell them the one best way to do it is to blog, and it sounds like you're both bloggers. And so you're practicing your craft, you're keeping your creative juices flowing, and then if you market your blog just a bit, you can have in your bio and all the social media links, going back to the book and little excerpts from the book and everything. But and the author I mentioned earlier that I'm working with really closely on his big book that's launching in the summer called Sacred America, Sacred World. That's Stephen Dinan. He's the CEO of the Shift Network, and worked with, like I said, Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, all those wonderful people. So he, we got him through his blogging, and we got him a column with Huffington Post. And Huffington Post might seem like it is ho-hum or, just that old rag or whatever it is, but it gets a lot of eyeballs. I'm serious. Huffington Post can be a wonderful thing to do. So if your newbie writers and podcast listeners can do their blog, socialize, share, promote their blog, get their friends to comment, get their friends to share, get their writing group to share, and then, sort of build their base, reader by reader, build up to a good base. And if you have a soapbox or an expertise that you would really like to speak to on a regular basis, you can pitch yourself as the columnist to Huffington Post. Newbie writers that could be a Huffington Post column.
There you go.
Well, it could do.
Ongoing column. And Huffington Post can be, they're pretty darn good promoters of their columnists and their writers and their, so they promote within, they have Huffington Post TV, and I've had writers do well with their blog posts and get, thousands of eyeballs, hundreds of shares. And when Huffington Post sees that kind of activity, they realize, this person is really bringing something unique to Huffington Post. And so they will in turn promote it on HuffPost Live, which is Huffington Post Live TV, over the internet. And then they promote the heck out of that. And I've seen and writers love it because it feels like, oh, we're not alone in the wilderness,
Yeah.
which is, I think, how so many writers feel. And so there's a sense of community, because Huffington Post, at the end of the day, all those columnists, they're writers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my one bit of advice is, like, blog, get on your soapbox and write about it. And if you have a lot of passion for it and something unique to say about it, you'll start to get a readership and you'll start to gain a following. And so just keep at it. Just chip away at it, one post at a time.
Well, here's the thing. How does Blink 182 come into the equation with you?
Oh, okay. Well, I was a fan of their music, as I'm sure you both are, and all of your podcast listeners. They say it's in 2000, maybe like 2013. Their main advisor is somebody I know through the publishing industry for like 30 years, David Wilk of Book Tricks. And David Wilk was contacted by To the Stars, which is actually Tom DeLonge of Blink 182's. He started his own little publishing house, To the Stars, and he said he wanted advice and he wanted guidance. And so I was just paired up with them by David Wilk. Publishing is kind of funny. It seems like a vast, unknowable ivory tower, but in truth, it's kind of a small world, and a lot of people just get recycled from one publishing house to another, and there is like a network where a lot of people know each other. And I did just find out that there is I want to share this little tidbit before before we wrap up, or unless we're going to go all night, which is fine with me. There's a new book. I don't know the author, but it's called Nest of Snakes, and it's about the publishing industry.
Oh, wow.
And I pre-ordered a copy from the Book Passage in Port of Madeira, because I have got to read that, and I think it'll be hilarious, because I imagine there will be profiles of people with different names, but I imagine I'll know some of the people.
Yeah.
It is interesting, though, to see someone like Tom DeLonge, however you say his last name, where the writing credits, his write-up is very much like musician this, winner of this, big band, and a children's author.
Right.
It's strange.
Well, yeah. I know that he has a muse, I think, and I think his muse, who probably has a punk rock name, I think that she doesn't limit him to like just song lyrics and just writing and performing music. There's also films and the children's books, as you know, and I think there's graphic novels and comics in the works. And also, I know that the book I worked with him on, Poet Anderson, which is actually a series, there's a film in development too.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think he has a very generous muse. Very, very good.
I think it's good, though. I think, it must ground them. And he's got a couple of kids. And I do notice that, especially with a lot of bands, that as they get older, they settle down a bit. And then all of a sudden they start doing these sideways things, going, oh, well, my kids would love this. I might do that. You'd be like a crazy death metal, heavy metal band. And then all of a sudden they're writing children's books.
Right. I know, it's counterintuitive. You never know which way the muse will guide you, but I think it's good to be open to that and follow. And I'm trying to be open to my own muse as well.
I don't know what my muse is. Sleep, I think.
That's okay. Your muse is I think definitely electronic.
You reckon?
Yeah. Pretty much.
As in, like, electronic music? I don't like electronica.
No.
Right.
Just all the AV and all the, you have that, there's an artistry to it, right?
Well, yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nothing like drilling through a wall for an hour. Yeah, that's enough to get your muse on. Far out. But look, I don't know. There's a little bit of I don't know, what would you call it? It's like that rock star feel a little bit in our job. It sounds strange, but there's nothing better than coming into a classroom of 30 kids and have them give you a standing ovation and clap. That happened the other day. The new guy was like, "What the hell is going on?"
I think that's great.
Kids. Well,
That is, my goodness.
thank you so much. It hasn't worked for a month. So, yeah, I just turned it on. Anyway, all right. So we should get cracking with a few other things. What else have you got planned? Where can people find you out on the internet? It was a bit hard. I don't know if you've got a website set up yet or anything like that.
I haven't, because I want to wait until I'm free and clear. But I know I definitely have plans. Things are in the works. I feel.
It's gone
It
again.
came to like a new business name, which is really interesting. So I decided you can't really force that. You can't really force that. So one day I just was, talking to my boyfriend about math and math concepts and things like that. He's a mathematician. I am the opposite. I am all liberal arts all the time.
Yeah.
But I love that his idea of reading for pleasure is reading like about math theory and things like that. I mean, I can't even imagine. However, us just having a discussion about like our different kinds of reading material caused me to have the inspiration for my business name, which hopefully, if all goes well in the land of legalities, you'll know, I would think, in the summer. So anyway, it was just funny to me that you never know where inspiration or ideas can come from. And in my case, it came from another half of my brain that I don't use that well, but just even in trying and thinking about it and discussing it, I got it really excited about an idea, and I'm still very excited about the business name.
Good.
Cool. Well,
And I've even helped name other businesses, but when it came down to like naming my own, it was really hard.
Oh, it is. I think it's much harder to do your own work than it is to advise others. Much, much different.
It's
Right.
like choosing a band name. I know that I've been there, done that a few times, but I remember even trying to choose my business name, and you'd write them all down. You're like, yeah, that's a brilliant name. Let's look that up on the Australian Business Register. Oh crap, it's taken.
Right.
Next
Because
name.
you're not the only person to think of a really good name like that, right?
Yeah, and actually, what's quite funny now is I chose my business name, and there's another company out there that. So my business name is called On-Site Audiovisual, right? All separate words. There's another company out there called On-Site Rental or On-Site Group. I don't know what it is, but he lives near me, and he just like, I don't know, I see him on the road, and he just like whizzes past me with his hand in the air, like I'm the one that's caused him grief. Yet I've been around longer than they have. Well, you chose the name.
Funny.
Anyway.
But if people want to, I do have a blog that I've had for some years, which is kind of funny. It's called Lower Haight Holler, because when I moved to San Francisco, I lived in the Lower Haight for about the first 18 years, and I loved it. It felt, I'd come from West Virginia, the Upper Holler, and so then when I moved to this little alley in the Lower Haight district of San Francisco, the opposite end from Haight-Ashbury, it sort of felt like a little holler to me. And so, I named my blog Lower Haight Holler, and I think it dates back to like 2007 or 8 or something like that, which now seems like 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's also my Twitter handle is Lower Haight BK, because that's that whole era of living really informed who I am and who I am as a citizen of Northern California. And one of my friends, I'll give a shout out to one of my dear friends from the Lower Haight, Duncan MacLeod, which ironically is the same name of the Duncan MacLeod. Oh my God, the Highlander. Remember those Highlander movies from the 80s and 90s?
Yeah.
Like the Highlander's name is Duncan MacLeod. So my dear friend Duncan MacLeod wrote a novel that is actually, he just changed the names, but everything is true. And I'm one of the characters, and my name is Wanda. And it's like a perfect name, Wanda, and it takes place in the Lower Haight in San Francisco, and I wrote the foreword, and so the book is called 5150, and it's by Duncan MacLeod. And I will also say that this is something I didn't know, and I'm sure I will never know again, but it is really fun to have yourself written into the character of a novel. It feels really good. The ego really loves that.
Except for if, like in my case, you pay to be in one and then they kill you.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, Nathan Weaver.
I like being killed in that episode.
Yeah, that was funny. You know,
That was funny.
if you're going to put me in a book, kill me off. It's good.
Okay. I will remember that, and I bet my muse will too.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
You can
I don't
use
kill
me.
him in our writing book. He stays alive.
Unfortunately for some. All right. Well, Brenda, we'll let you go. We'll let the internet have a break from trying to connect to you in the car. But it's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you for coming on in the traffic.
My pleasure. Yes, not a problem. I mean, like, I wasn't going to let Donald Trump stand in my way.
Look,
Yay.
I think
Good.
it's a wise move. All right. Well,
have a wonderful weekend, and thank you so much for bearing with the technical issues, and it was a delight.
that's all right.
Thank you so much. It was a delight to have you on.
We'll chat to you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
All right. I thought we'd ease up on the phone. Wasn't a guy from Highlander called Connor MacLeod? I don't know.
Yes.
Not Duncan.
Yeah, there's a Highlander movie, and MacLeod is the character.
Yes, I love the Highlander movies, except the one with Sean Connery in it, where they're like running on the beach. It's just the gayest thing I've ever seen. Anyway, now let's do a prompt.
Now, okay, we can do a prompt.
Yes.
So this is my prompt. Let's say you got rid of all the monsters under your bed.
Mm.
What else is under there? What does your hero or heroine keep under their bed? And what have they forgotten that is still under the bed?
Well, if it's
So what's under your bed?
dust.
Yeah. That's the adult version. There's got to be something more interesting than that.
Yeah, I don't know. We've not really had experience of this. Like Julian has never really had the whole monsters in the bedroom thing. I don't know why.
Well, then you're doing a good job. You're not frightening your child. Yay.
Well, that means I'm failing as a parent. Yeah, I don't know. Monsters under the bed. Where does that come from? Like, what part of the child's psyche? Where does it get planted in their head that there's monsters under the bed or in the cupboard?
I think adults actually do that. I think that they say, there's some jocular, silly people who say, "Don't be careful, the monster's under the bed," and then freak out their poor little person. Some parents are not terribly responsible.
I know.
So I think that it almost. I think that it ends up being its own self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah. Or I guess in our case, if anything like that crops up, both Sharon and I tend to be a little bit blunt with things. We'll just go, "Don't be stupid," and just walk away. And it's just like, don't explain it. Don't get into it. Anyway.
It's funny. Don't get into it. It's fine. I would go into it more than that. It's like, oh, my little baby. Okay, then mommy tell you about it.
Yeah, but then you're justifying that their fear is real then by you sort of saying, oh, don't be stupid.
I have very interesting children with very interesting ideas. So yeah, could very well be real.
All right, let's do a tortured sentence. Next time, don't put the wrong emphasis on the right syllable. Tortured sentences. Right. So, he concluded that because of the points made by Paul Broker, the society were, well, was it led by men, and the scientific work and the measurements done in women and men's brain, saying that women, like it or not, they have smaller brains than men. As a result, women did not have the equal intelligence as men. How are you guys doing? You heard that in a bar, in an airport bar.
No. I had two torture sentences. This one is from the students. My airport bar one was just the idea of how we sometimes talk is how are you guys doing?
No. Use. I love it when someone says, "Hey, use guys going on." I'm not a sheep. Anyway.
But I just like use guys as well, so I had to make a comment about it.
But yes, I like this bit that was this written by Trump? Women, like it or not, you've got smaller brains than men. Oh, he is a dickhead. Anyway, there you go.
No, it wasn't. It was written by a student, but yes, he has. Oh, okay. I'm listening to a news station as we were driving up to, and one of it's not necessarily the most vetted news that I've ever heard, and one of the commentators says, well, Hillary's ahead in the polls, but I don't think she's doing very well but I don't think she's doing very well. And I'm like, so you're just going to take the facts and wave those away? Is that how this goes?
Yeah. Some of the people that ring up radio are amazing, especially if they get through the vetting phase and then they change what they're talking about.
Yes.
Great.
They've been lying all this time.
Yeah. Yeah, and the announcer's like, oh, we've got Kevin on the phone. And he'd just like to talk about the issues with the water supply in his hometown. And then you hear, yeah, well, I was going to, but this bloody blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, okay, mate. And they cut him off. It's great.
Cut him off. That's right.
Anyway, word of the week. So this came from lift.hivemind.net. Now, we've got Ghent. Is that how you'd say it?
Yeah.
Descriptive of the mood indicated by cartoonists by drawing a character's mouth as a wavy line. There you go. You put another one down here too.
I did. I gave you two.
Yeah, Gignog. That should be a name of a character. Like a big rock
Here you
troll.
go.
Gignog. Someone who, through the Injudicus... No, I can't...
Injudicus?
Yeah, I think that's how you say it. Injudicus application of alcohol is now a great deal less funny than he thinks he is. Oh, yes. I don't know. Maybe I fall into that. Gignog.
But there you go. I mean, Gignog is a great word for that particular issue. I really liked it.
Stop being a gignog.
Yeah, stop being a gignog.
There you go. I really want to pinch that now as a name.
Yeah, I take it. They absolutely. All of these from the Meaning of Lift by Douglas Adams are all city names or town names or village names or crossroad names in England, and so they're all real places. And then what Adams and his partner John Lloyd did is add new meanings to them, so new definitions.
Right. Well, that would mean if Gignog's a real place, then you couldn't make it a beer. That would be a good beer brand.
Gignog? Yeah, that would be a good beer brand.
Let's look it up.
You're going to look up beer plus Gignog.
Oh, it's in Pembrokeshire. Right. There you go. Oh, it's listed as Britain's worst place to live. No, to work. Yeah, right.
Oh, no, I wouldn't want to be known for that. That's pretty bad.
That is not what you want when you type that in. You're supposed to get to like their, at least have their council page or their, tourism page, but not like some articles like worst place in UK.
We're the Chamber of. I didn't know they did Yelp reviews for towns.
Well, they should. Anyway, all right. So, where can people find you on the internet? What's your?
They can find me on both Newbie Writers, where I post my blogs, just like Brenda said to do, and I'm posting a lot of blogs, both with interviews with authors as well as pieces from our upcoming book, Don't Write Like We Talk, which is what we were just discussing. We were in the edits for, and then they also can find me on yourbook.startshere.com.
Cool. I'm on the Twitter at Newbie Writers, and it's probably too late now, but yeah, look, podcast awards are out. If we're lucky enough to be nominated, please jump over to podcastawards.com, send us a vote. We should be under education. That'd be nice.
Yep, but as soon as we know if we're nominated, then I'll send out, because you can tweet me at Seabram Camp, and I put out a lot of notices for that. So I hope that I hope people paid attention in some level.
I hope so too. And
yeah.
All right, who have we got on next week? Anyone?
We have KJ Landis, and she has a book called Superior Self. So she's going to tell us all about how to get better and do better and be better. You're going to love it.
Brilliant. So, there seems to be, then you talk of karma, that either really happy people are drawn to me. I don't know, maybe they want to try and pep me up. Or companies will like have the most depressed person ring me. Like, hey, Damien, we've got a problem with your order. It's almost like they're trying to see if I can push them over the edge. I don't know. You've been warned, people.
So not fair.
How to improve yourself. This is going to go brilliantly. If anyone's got any questions that they want me to ask, that you're too afraid to ask someone, please send them in. Happily read them out. Even if you want to remain anonymous, that's fine. So yes, all right. Well, until next week, we'll see you then.
See you then.
Your book starts here on the Newbie Writers Podcast.